Who's on? Again, good afternoon. My name is Albert Jones. I'm with Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. Would like to thank everyone who joined us in person. Also like to thank the virtual audience also. At this time, we're located on the beautiful campus of Coahoma Community College, and we would like for one of our finest, Mr. Henry Dorsey of Coahoma Community College, to give us a word of prayer, please.
Please bow your heads, please. Almighty and merciful God, we come this hour, Lord, as humble as we can. Thank you for the many blessings you have bestowed upon us. Lord, realize that you are Alpha and Omega. You're the beginning and the end. You're the Lord of hosts, and you're the God of peace. And without you, all of our efforts are in vain. But Lord, we just want to say thank you. If it was not for you, Lord, we would not be anything. We would like to be up to base and standing before a fountain, waiting to be filled with your love, your grace, and your mercy. As we come here, Lord, prepared for this meeting, we hope that this will be a fruitful meeting and it will be good for the community and the earth. We pray that you will let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be accepted in our sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer, and the saints of God said amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brother Dorsey, for those words of prayer. Couple of housekeeping duties. The restroom straight through this door to the left, and you go all the way out to the front lobby of the Pinnacle. Next we have Nrcs Assistant State Conservationist, Mr. Clarence Finley. Mr. Finley, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you. And I say good afternoon to everyone. On behalf of Kurt Reedus, the state conservationist here in Mississippi, Natural Resource Conservation Service, we want to express our appreciation for the opportunity to participate in this Arkansas Land and Community Development Symposium being held in Clarksdale. I'm from Greenville, so I really wish I could have came home, close to home there, but maybe next time. We regret we couldn't be there in person, but we look forward to the future when we can once again interact face to face with, as an agency, with our farmers and participants. As you know, NRCS is committed to providing high quality technical, a lot of people believe that, our technical and financial assistance to our farmers across the state of Mississippi. We're excited to be a part of this workshop. I look forward to a great exchange of ideas, information. And I like to quote our state conservationist. He makes this statement a lot of times when he's traveling and speaking. He says, service may be our last name, but it's our first priority. Our first priority is service. Thank you again, Mr. Jones, for the invitation. Very warm and received on behalf of the NRCS family here in Mississippi. And we look forward to working with you. And I know Chauncey Newsom, a very well capable conservationist, will be making a detailed presentation. I will be hanging around the entire workshop, so I look forward to making comments at the end of his presentation and during the Q&A session. So thank you again for the invitation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Finley. We also have Ms. Shander Gunn from Congressman Benny Thompson's office. Ms. Gunn, would you like to say a word? Yeah, come on. Just say hi. You just come out here with the camera.
Good afternoon. I would like to say I am thankful to be here. I'm glad I could participate, come to see and to hear more details about the Arkansas Land community. We are looking forward to hopefully doing great things in the future with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. With that being said, the next person that you'll hear from is my boss, one of the co-founders of the organization. As I was telling Mr. Coleman from Alcorn, we were founded some 41 years plus ago at the campus of University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. At that time, it was Arkansas A&M College. Without any further ado, We have Dr. Calvin King, Senior Co-founder and President of Arkansas Land Community Development Corporation. He's going to be joining us virtually. Dr. King.
Again, let me say good afternoon to everyone. And I would like to express my appreciation for this opportunity to be a part of this symposium as well. And particularly as it relates to Mississippi itself in this partnership, collaborative manner with NRCS, as well as what we call One USDA. And we say One USDA based on our participation and our work also with the Office of Partnership and Public Engagement. And of course, you all know that's under the 2501 program being one, and all of the USDA agencies when you're working with and connecting back with our rural communities and with our farmers as a whole, which is an intimate part of all our rural communities, as well as our urban communities. And that area has, I think, a lot of opportunity for growth, growth potentials. The other thing I want to mention in relationship to that is Coahoma College itself, expanding partnerships, partnership, public engagement. Again, this is an opportunity for us, and it has provided for an opportunity for us to expand our partnership and hopefully to build the overall partnership position with all the USDA agencies in the Mississippi area, or the targeted area that we are working with, particularly in an effort to what we call expanding or building prosperity, as well as equity and equality for the underserved and unserved communities that we're representing here. I'm going to stop at this point, and again, a lot of information will be presented by our resource individual that will be discussing both their programs and what those programs have to offer. But more than anything, again, this is about public engagement. It is about partnership and partnership expansion and building our overall capacity to deal with service delivery to the underserved communities for equity and equality for those individuals for economic growth and development. The next person that's on the program agenda is, this is with the District Conservationist, Coahoma USDA NRCS, and I hope I pronounced this right, Mr. Chancellor Newsom. Is he here? Is Mr. Newsom on? District Conservationist, Coahoma County, this is with Coahoma with USDA NRCS. Well, it doesn't appear as he has gotten on yet. He may have had some issues connecting. I know I had some. I'm out in the rural area also, the Delta region of Arkansas, sometimes like the Delta region of Mississippi when you deal with connectivity and technology. Mr. Jones, do you know what the status is of
Yes.
Mr. Newsom?
I see Mr. Charles Lee. Mr. Charles Lee, can you say some words? Mr. Chauncey is not on. Mr. Charles Lee, are you available?
Albert, what I'd like to do on this, Mr. Finley, I know you said you were going to give some comments at the end. You would probably have some questions and answers. I'm glad you said you were going to participate throughout the agenda.
Sir.
Since you were representing the district conservations, I'm going to ask if you would come in at this point in time and both maybe instead of asking questions, we'll have the opportunity to ask you some questions. You give some answers. So I want to flip that a little bit right now. Without asking the questions, I'm going to provide you an opportunity to give some answers to and to talk more about USDA farm service agencies and the program service delivery y'all have to offer and what that represents as far as equity and equality and delivery for One USDA. Mr. Finley.
Thank you, Dr. King. Let's see here. Can you hear me, Dr. King?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the opportunity. And I will say this, I'm honored to be here to discuss our programs and to share with you, I guess, really our reaching out to our underserved community. So I will kind of hone my comments in towards that area, if that's what you want.
Well, Mr. Finley, more than anything, what I would like for you to do, and I think what the audience is looking for are the program resources and opportunities that NRCS has to offer. And of course, we know from history itself, and for various reasons, both because of barriers and various types of barriers, there has been lack of access, but the inability in some cases to access resources that's available to the public as a whole, and specifically when we have special type of program initiatives that are intended for program service delivery. So again, the underserved and the underserved itself are the unserved population. And of course, we know the statistical data bears out where those numbers fall as far as population makeup itself is concerned. So if you guys talk about the program, but the programs itself and what those programs represent as far as resources are concerned. Resources both in dollar figures, resources in building in building asset value or equity within an overall farming operation,
Yes,
as well as the increase in the overall capacity of those farms as far as revenue generation, generating revenue and reducing risk at the same time.
Okay, be glad to do that. And I will start off by mentioning two of our flagship programs. You wanted me to mention some of our programs, and I'll tie directly into the HU part aspect of those programs. One is Environmental Quality Incentive Program. It's a very large program. This year we actually, just tell you a little something about myself, Dr. King. I'm the Assistant State Conservationist for Programs. I manage all the Farm Bill program for the state conservationists in Mississippi, well over, bring over $200 million into the state of Mississippi, just under the programs that I manage. So the Environmental Quality Incentive Program is a incentive program targeting resource concerns on almost every resource in the state of Mississippi and Arkansas. So anything from forestry to cropland to pasture land up in the Delta. Of course, I know cropland is a big issue up there. Addressing water quality, water conservation are all high priorities under the environmental program. So we have like two big pots. One is we get these national dollars that come in that are directed towards specific watersheds in the Mississippi Delta. And one is a Mississippi River Basin Initiative. This year received over $7 million for that initiative. And the other is it's a National Water Quality Initiative, in which this past year we received around $4 or $5 million for. Both of those are national initiatives that are targeted towards the Delta and water conservation, water quality, water quantity improvement. We also have, under the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, we have historically underserved categories. And I'll go through those three categories if you want me to, real briefly. One is SD, we call it historically socially disadvantaged. It actually targets African Americans, Native Americans. We set aside a minimum of 5% of our funds, up to 10 to 12%, just for historically underserved, socially disadvantaged farmers. And we have beginning farmers. The definition of beginning farmer is someone who has not filed a Schedule F in the last 10 years, or basically, just started farming in the last 10 years. And lastly, a limited resource farmer. Limited resource farmer is defined as someone whose household total income does not exceed the poverty level, that varies in every county. So in one county it might be 20,000, in another county it might be 30,000. But those three categories, the state conservationist sets aside special funds up under that EQIP program to provide resources just to those historically underserved. Now, as we go deeper into the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, specifically what that does, that helps farmers to maintain, I like the word you use, capacity. It maintains their capacity and enhance their farm. I just give you a case in point. One farmer called me today and said that he has a cattle farm and he's struggling to maintain his fences and develop feeding trough areas. Those are all, both of those are simple conservation practices that we do pay on. And one big, huge benefit of our historically underserved, they, all these practices, we pay an incentive amount, anywhere from 75 to 90% of an established cost. So historically underserved receive a 90% financial assistance on the cost of the practice, as established by our cost schedule. We have a cost schedule that dictates that. So historically underserved receive a 90% financial assistance, where normal non-historically underserved customers receive a 75% assistance in per practice. These are competitive. The Environmental Quality Incentive Program is a competitive process where we do send a conservation out to your farm. I don't know how basic you want me to get in my explanation, but we do send a conservationist to your farm, and he evaluates the resources on your farm. You may, and I like to tell people that that's one of the best hidden treasures NRC has to offer, because they can't tell you the number of, I call them a cold email, where someone look on the website and they'll see my name and they say, hey, I got a farm in Coahoma County, I just bought it. What can y'all do for me? So the first thing I tell them is call our local office. I put them in contact with our local planner. He goes out to their farm and he assess their goal, what their objectives are, and present these programs to them to know when to sign up. For example, we got a sign up going on right now for next fiscal year. So we send out press releases to the community, to all of our partners, letting them know we're doing our sign up. But the Environmental Quality Incentive Program is a tremendous opportunity to obtain conservation systems practices that will help you sustain your farm. One big practice we're promoting up in the Delta is cover crops. Cover crops is somewhat expensive to establish, but a tremendous soil builder and can help you build up your soil, which can in turn increase your yields. So that's one program. Another program is a conservation stewardship program. It's an incentive-based program where our farmers actually make an application and are enrolled in this 5-year program where they're paid an incentive for carrying that farm to the next level. That's important, carrying the farm to the next level. And they receive anywhere, for example, those contracts can run anywhere from $5,000 or $10,000 all the way up. Payment cap on the corporation is $400,000. So those are very good practices, but it's based on enhancements that you do on your farm. Again, most of the time you're going to do them anyway, but we pay an incentive so you do them, and it takes your farm to a higher level. The last one I don't really manage, but I will mention it because it's something that we're wanting to expand, and that is the ACEP, the Agriculture Conservation Easement Program. It's an easement program where a farmer enrolls in a perpetual or 15-year, and I'm getting off into a whole nother program. Dr. King, I may get put my foot in my mouth a little bit on this other program, but I do want to mention it because it's the old WRP program, Old Wetland Reserve Program. And it's a program where a lot of African Americans may not be aware of, but I am putting it out there, Dr. King. I would encourage you the next time we have a discussion like this to invite Jason Keenan. He's our state easement program manager. And I know he's trying to reach out to bring in more historically underserved into the program, but it is a great easement program to participate in. We do have, you wanted me to mention some of these initiatives. Remember, well, I know over here, we had a tornado to come through and it destroyed a lot of our conservation structures, some houses, a lot of timber and a lot of those irrigation structures up in the Delta. They'll be reached over in Coahoma County. I know Chauncey probably aware of that. So we created a special state initiative. The state conservation saw the need We advertised it. We had a lot of farmers say, "Hey, I invested in these irrigation sprinkler systems, and now they're down." We provided resources, financial resources, to reestablish those. We had to sign up. So those are the kind of initiatives that we take to reach out and help farmers be successful on their farm. I don't know if I've overloaded you. I don't know if I've given you enough, but I wanted to put some of the basic of what we do out there. But again, it all starts with developing a conservation plan. Starts with developing a conservation plan, and then we work the plan and help you reach your goal.
Okay, Mr. Finley, that was very good. Looked like you were the man for the job. I want to say this. I have some comments and some questions, but what I want to do so we can get through the agenda, so don't go anywhere. So those who have questions, and I specifically will have some questions, some comments in reference to some of the programs and how best to access those services with Farm Service Agency. The next person on the agenda we have is Mr. Steve Mosier. Is Mr. Mosier on? My good friend, Mr. Mosier. USDA Rural Development. Mr. Mosier, are you there? Do we have someone representing rural development, Mr. Mosier, USDA? He's the regional coordinator with USDA Rural Development. I'm just going to do just a very quick summary, and hopefully someone will come in. If so, we'll pick up on that coming back. As you all know, rural development has an enormous amount of resources. Some say that you can actually build an entire community and an entire city, county with the resources that USDA Rural Development has to offer. And that's both from an economic development perspective, including dealing with business and industry development, infrastructure type of resources, dollars that's made available, dollar resources to deal with infrastructure issues or infrastructure needs. I was listening to a news report just recently on a small town that has, and it's very rural, that has been very blessed. I'm sure everybody saw the national news that Ford is going to be building a mega plant down there for the electric trucks, right where this little small rural town is. Quick example, they have issues regarding infrastructure, have to build the infrastructure capacity, both water system and sewer system, just to name a few, and where they'll have a need to deal with possibly more housing development for the area. And of course, based on what the average salary range is going to be for that plant operation, which is with Ford manufacturing, is that they won't fall into what you call the Mr. Finley, the low income or limited resource category, which is good, which will probably bring in other type of developers, unless you're going through what their housing is under the direct loan program. And then they have the B&I program called the Business and Industry Loan Program, and that program is both through a guarantee program, and they can do a direct loan program for that as well. And when I say the guarantee, that's utilizing the bank resources, on direct lending, and it's guaranteed up to 90% by the federal government. And I won't get into all the various areas of technology, but they do have technology financing available. We know technology is an issue, access to resources to really build our technology capacity in our rural areas. They have dollars for that as well, and where they work with rural communities, if it's dealing with high-speed internet, other areas from that perspective. They have cooperative development funding. So if individuals want, a number of farmers, and like what Mr. Finley was talking about with Natural Resource and Conservation Services, if they form a cooperative, they have both the cooperative grant program, and of course they have the cooperative loan program as well. Now, accessing those resources, and if it's in a type of farming operation, you're creating a cooperative, then of course rural development would be the one to go to, and then operating type of resources for those cooperative farming operation, and accessing the other resources with USDA, Nrcs, and how those operations may be run if it's a production farming type of cooperative. And of course, you know, you have a number of other areas that you can go into from that perspective. So again, that's just some of the resources and a very, very quick summary on rural development itself, housing, of course, I mentioned that. And we're gonna go to FSA. No, they'll talk about their commodity credit financing and some of the other areas that they'll be talking about. But water sewer systems as well as others. So I'm going to stop at that point on USDA rural development. I just wanted to tell you, if there are any questions though, any specific questions, if I've said enough for you to have a question, then at the end, if there's not a rural development person that's on, I'll either take your question if I can't give you an answer to it, and we can move on
from
there. But you know, in accordance with yes.
I'd like to interject this. I'd like to let the audience know down here in Clarksdale, we've had some real bad weather. Mr. Chauncey, the district conservationist from Coahoma County, was not able to get on. Mr. Coleman from Elkhorn went and called him outside. Steve Mosier had something come up, and Gregory Dale out of Washington, D.C. was scheduled to replace him. I heard from him this morning, and evidently he wasn't able to get on. Just want to let the audience know that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. And I gave some reference to that with NRCS representative, that probably the weather situation. We were experiencing some here this morning. I was really concerned whether or not I was going to be able to get on myself. Mr. Finley, that's just one of those things, you know, technology. And of course, some of the old systems are being abandoned on technology now. If they move more toward upgrading to give access to internet and other type of technology. Again, we're going to move into work session 2, and this is going to be dealing with farm financing, micro-urban farming, local food supply, and opportunities for beginning farmers. The resource representatives we have for that is Ms. Rebecca Weatherall. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Did I get that right, Miss Rebecca? I see your name.
Yes, yes,
okay.
Sir. How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I got you. We can hear you. And
Great.
with Coahoma County Executive Director of USDA Farm Service Agency, and we're going to turn it over to Mr. Rebecca now. You have it.
All right. Thank you for allowing us the opportunity to present along with the rest of you. I did speak with Mr. Newsom. He had a problem getting in, so he sends his regards. Anyway, we'll just talk about some of the basic things in starting out. You know, of course, to participate in any of the programs, you've got to have a farm number. And so many times, a lot of people don't have those and they don't know the process for it. So we'll just start with that. Typically, the owner of the land will have to bring a deed in. Hopefully it will provide a description of the land so we can draw it out in the system and establish a farm number. And then of course, if the individual doesn't own the land, they'll need to provide a lease for it. So, and that part's relatively simple. After that, depending on the programs that they want to participate in, we'll have to look at eligibility, which in general is very simple. We'll just do what they call a 902, which is a farm operating plan. Talks about who they are, what land they have that they're farming, and you know, we have to do an AGI form, which is an adjusted gross income form. Everyone has to do that. If they happen to be an SDA participating, we'll document that so that it will be indicated in the system that they're eligible for certain different programs, as well as another form called an 80-10-26. Other than that, it's pretty simple, straightforward to get started on the programs. And other than that, that's pretty much all it takes. Then this time of year, we don't have an exceptionally large amount of programs available. So I'm just going to hit a few highlights of some things that are going on. I know Mr. Jones and I had touched on them the other day when we spoke, and one of them is the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. This one has been open for quite some time, and it actually closed, and they reopened it to allow for participation of some contract growers. And this program provides support to the nation's farmers and ranchers who continue to face market disruptions and associated with COVID-19. This one relates to those that have eligible livestock and poultry losses for animals of the broilers, quails, hogs, pigs, and other livestock. So I don't know how many of you we have, online or people that are interested in that area, but that program does close on October the 12th. Another disaster type program that we have, some people may or may not be familiar with, is called ELAP. That's the emergency assistance for livestock, honeybees, and farm-raised fish. Now, I know there are some people that do have honeybees, and Mr. Jones, said that they might be interested in this program. It provides financial assistance for those who have eligible losses in those areas. So, I'm not going to go into a great deal of depth on that program, but if they're interested, they can always contact the local office for additional information. And then I know a newer topic that has come forward recently is the air property relending program. This has been made available for individuals who have inherited land without a clear title or documented legal ownership. This program is designed to help them resolve air, land ownership, and succession issues on agricultural land. Now, at this time, we don't have a list of vendors that are available to help with this program, but if you're interested, there's plenty of information on farmers.gov, or they're welcome to call their local offices and we can provide them with the basic information that we have. But it's my understanding there should be more coming forward to us in the near future. So if there's any other particular topic that y'all want me to touch base on, you can feel free to let me know.
Okay, Ms. Rutherford, I want to come back to a couple of points that you gave reference to. One is the CCAF, and I know you mentioned the livestock. It's been one of the areas. There may be some opportunities for those ranchers or operators, but also with vegetable producers. Some of the farmers who have been and continue to be engaged in vegetable farming operation, they have had market loss opportunities through farmers markets. Some of those shut down because of what's been going on with COVID-19, and some of the same issues that was occurring with the meat processing and meat packers as well. Now, CCAF CCAF 2 is still open to those who want to sign up for participation of their vegetable producers as well, right?
Now, the vegetable producers, I am not entirely sure about now on that. If they sell commercially in large quantities, I believe there may be. I have not had a great deal of experience with that. My county here has mostly row crops. So that may be one of the ones that falls under the sales-based commodities. So we can certainly look into that.
Right. My understanding, the vegetable operation and those who engage in producing vegetables, they do qualify, and if they were selling, and they have sometimes multiple different type of markets that they operate through, both farmers markets, being
yes,
one.
Yes,
well
here it is. The sales commodities included are the fruits and vegetables.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to make sure they didn't feel that they were left out, and those who may be listening, if they they know individuals that are actually producing as well. Another area, I know you mentioned the business part, you gave reference to the air property. That air property, that been, the last that I read on that, as I understood it, they were identifying the potential, they'd given, I think, a RFA out for potential vendors or those who would be the sort of like an intermediary lender. The CDFI, Community Development Financial Institutions, was the one that had been targeted that would do the direct lending on the air property financing. And I do want to mention also, I think some of the priority was being given in identifying those vendors, those states who had actually passed the Unified Air Property Act. Of course, I'm glad to say Arkansas is one of those states that has passed that legislation. I'm not sure if Mississippi is on the list as well. I know some of them are not on the list, and some calls that we've had in reference to that, whether it would be in their state. I think Oklahoma was one that gave a card. I don't think Oklahoma was on the list. But as I understood the air property, that was sort of how they had initially started rolling it out, and to deal with tile ownership issues, and there are specific regulations and guidelines. And I'm not sure how the CDFI or the banking policies are going to be and how they would do that yet. There will be a need for quite a bit of clarity, in that area once they identify those partners. But I am hoping, I do know Mississippi does have a CDFI that is located in you all's area, and this is not to promote any particular CDFI, but Southern Bancorp is one. They're located in Mississippi. They're also located in Arkansas. And that has raised some questions as well, where you have contiguous states, that if a CDFI is located in one state, that may be a vendor, and if someone's property is owned in the other state, but it had the CDFI is located, would they be able to make a loan to a particular customer that is not in a state that has passed the Unified Air Property Act? And we basically told them those questions, and I'm sure they'll have answers to in the very, very near future. But it's a great opportunity. I think that's a major barrier. Mr. Finn, I'm going back to NRCS just to reference that right now, and back to Ms. Rebecca as well. Said tile ownership. So the thing you have to do is to show that you have title, or you show a title for that property. Show a title for the property to get a farm number. And she gave reference to the air property, and Mr. Finley gave reference to the fact that they could apply those resources, or you could apply for those resources, and it is the application process, not just to call in or just to go and sign in. You have to make an application for the program services that NRCS has to offer, and it identifies whether you're limited resource, beginning farmers, and all that. I want to make sure we have clarity on that. Ms. Rebecca, on the areas for showing that you have the title to that property, if you have the title to that property and it is not in your name, then you can show that you have control of that property by way of a lease agreement. And if it does not have a farm number, then you're going to have to show title ownership or some administrative authority or control of that property to get a number assigned to it. Am I right, Ms. Weatherall?
Well, yes, but our ultimate goal is to make sure that the property ownership is correct to begin with. And a lot of times, some of our records have been established for a great length of time and has passed hands and never been updated. So sometimes those areas can be sticky. So obviously, if they own it and can bring a deed in, we can update it and we're good to go. But if those people don't own it and they bring a lease in and the owner does not match what we have, then we've got to go back to square one and get the ownership updated. And so, there again, we're going to have to request a deed to get it updated so that ownership in our records matches the ownership that's on the lease that individual is providing us.
Right, I guess I'm giving reference more back to the bears and the air property issue situation, is that when you have if you're leasing property, say someone is leasing land from me, and they feel I have control of that land, but I'm actually an heir to that property and I lease it to them. But if I don't have the administrative authority to lease that land because it is air property, and it's part of an estate situation, then if I can't produce that administrative authority, then, and if that land happened to not have had it didn't have a farm number, because they had been idle, they haven't certified the farm, under the heirs, those ownership, then you would have issue trying to give a farm number for that. Am I right?
Correct. Yes. I'm sorry. You are correct.
Okay, so I just want to make sure we're very clear on that and understand, people, that Mr. Finley, that rolls right back into NRCS and where NRCS may be. If you're signing up for the program, if it's under EQIP, Conservation, Stewardship, and any of the rest of them, if they do not have the ownership, the farm number, ownership control, they can't get those services.
Correct.
That's correct. We have to go through FSA, and they get every applicant, customer goes to FSA and get set up as a farm. The big thing with our policy, they have to show control of land for the length of the contract. So unless they can get that, that's where we always will have our problems with air property.
Okay. Again, we're talking about underserved and sometimes hard to serve. And the reason where we have these situations and why it is hard to serve in some cases, and also why we are underserved in a lot of cases. And also the other part is just not having the information and how to get around and deal with those barriers, those issues that has to be addressed. So I just want to give a little clarity on that on both agencies, FSA as well as Farm Service Agency. We're going to move on now. We have Alcorn University. I'm gonna have to go ahead through this. I know I got a note back here that we do have rural development is on. Mr. Gregory Dale is on out of Washington, D.C. Mr. Dale, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm here, and you was flowing pretty good. I was listening in. I would have listened to Alcorn. It'd have been all right, but it's whatever you decide.
No. What I'm going to do, if you don't mind, I know I went ahead and just gave some summary about USDA rural development. We're going to come back. I'd like to go ahead and finish this work session out, and we're going to back and I'll go back into work session 1 with rural development.
That'll
So
work.
just if you just stay tuned, as I say.
We'll do.
All right. Okay. We're going to go now to Mr. John Coleman. Mr. Coleman with Alcorn State University. He's the farm manager at Mount Bayou, Mississippi. Mr. Coleman, are you there?
Yes, sir, he's there.
Dr. King,
Yes.
this is Doris Miller. I'm not on your program today. My role is to introduce my boss, who's John Colvin. He's the farm manager of the demonstration farm in Mount Bayou. But before I ask him to come up, I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I live in Clarksdale, Coahoma County, and I'm so glad to be on the campus of Coahoma Community College today. Yes. And Dr. King, I also want you to know that Mr. Albert Jones has been so gracious and so welcoming to us. I feel like I've known him my whole life. I'm also the president and CEO of a small nonprofit organization called D&J, Helping Farmers of the Mississippi Delta. We are located in Mount Bayou, Mississippi. And just a little bit later, before Mr. Coleman come on, we want to show you just a little video of what we do at the demonstration farm in Mount Bayou. Now, the local people call it the demonstration farm and the co-op, but our Alcorn title is the Research and Demonstration Farm Technology Transfer Center. I know that's a mouthful, but that's our official name. Mr. John Coleman used to be the farm technician. He was the business management training officer, and he was also a research associate. And I would like to say he has been the best farm manager that this demonstration farm has ever had. So on that note, I want to go ahead and show our video that will basically tell you about our site in Mount Bayou.
Hello. It's always a great day at the Alcorn State University Extension Research and Demonstration Farm Technology Transfer Center. The center was established during the spring of 1995 with 45 acres of land leased from the North Bolivar County Development Corporation. The center is proud to be the first off-site agricultural center in the Alcorn State University Extension program. Special emphasis has been placed on this area for purple hull peas, sweet potato production and marketing, with participation of scientists from Alcorn State University, Mississippi State University, USDA Agricultural Research Station located at Stoneville, Mississippi, along with local farmers. The center's purpose is to educate farmers on sustainable horticultural crops while emphasizing soil and crop management, cultural operations and efficiency of fertilizer use, farm management, pest control management, value-added processing, post-harvest handling, marketing strategies combined with an array of other services. The plant program goals will be achieved through research and demonstration efforts, spring and fall field days, train the trainer educational programs for farmers, workshops, seminars, and mini conferences for farmers, as well as one-on-one technical assistance. We encourage you to reach out to us by contacting the farm manager, Don Coleman, at 294 Granger North Road, Mount Bayou, Mississippi, 662-741-3375. Again, it's always a great day at the Alcorn State University Research and Demonstration Farm Technology Transfer Center, located in the heart of the Mississippi Delta. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed our video. Have a great day.
All right, good afternoon. I bring you greetings from Alcorn State University. I'm Dr. Edwin Buckner, our Dean of Agriculture. Dr. Franklin Shakuma, our Extension Administrator. And my name is John Cole. When Mr. Albert gave us a phone call and an email to come and talk about the pretty campus of Alcorn State University, they called me and told me to get something prepared and tell about the demonstration farm in Mount Bayou, Mississippi. In Mount Bayou, I want to tell you a little story. One day I was cutting some yards in Mount Bayou, and this lady, she was the vice mayor. She came out in the middle of the road and said, Mr. Coleman, I heard that you cut yards. I said, yes, ma'am, I cut yards and things like that. She said, there's a lot of yards in Mount Bayou that needs to be cut, but the people are from out of town. I said, ma'am, have you ever thought about turning those little lots into beautification and growing some vegetables, fresh flowers on those yards? She said, that's a good idea. She said, let's get in contact with some of the people that own that property. And we started turning these pieces of property into community gardens and to something I just looked on the agenda, micro-urban garden. That is a great thing to beautify the community, have fresh fruits and vegetables in the community, and even for people to exercise and even to walk around in those gardens. At Alcorn State University, we are already doing that with an 8-plot crop rotation. We have a crop growing on our 1 acre plots. We have it growing in the springtime, the summertime, and the fall time. In the springtime, we grow mustard greens, all kinds of greens, turnip greens, collard greens, kale, rape, all types of different kinds of greens to have vegetation on the soil. In the summertime, we have different crops like squash, tomatoes, okra, and our famous purple whole pea. Our purple whole pea has been a great thing that we are trying to initiate here in the Mississippi Delta. We have a processing facility in Mars, Mississippi. A lot of our farmers have joined our purple whole pea project. And they grow the peas, take them over to the processing facility, and get those peas processed by our processing facility. And the processing facility market them to our local Krogers in our area. Our local stores are in Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi. Somebody just told me an acronym for that. It's ATM. Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi. So we get those vegetables, peas, to those local stores. The farmer gets like $20 per bushel for those peas. The processing plant gets $8 for processing those peas. So the farmer gets $20 per bushel. And we try to deliver about 200 bushels of peas to Kroger's weekly from the weeks of July 1st to September the 1st. And then we come back around in the fall time and plant a cover crop, or we plant greens again. So in the springtime, we have greens. In the summertime, we have summer crops, peas, and then in the fall time, we have greens again. And we tell other people that come into the demonstration farm, they always come and say, oh, I have 2 or 3 acres of land. What can I do to that with that land? And we tell them that they can put greens, peas, and all different kinds of things, because you can even market those vegetables to our processing facility. They have CSA boxes that some of the, like Mississippi Delta Council for Farm Workers in Clarksdale, Mississippi, they will buy those vegetables and put them into those CSA boxes. So we have a lot of array of farmers that we are trying to support that have 5 acres or less. And our mission and our statement is to improve the quality of life of limited resales clientele through education in a time of dynamic changes. And you know all the changes that we are having. We're having COVID-19 changes now. And a lot of people are out of jobs and needing food. So as the university with Nrcs, FSA, Rural Development, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee, let's put our boots on, pull our pants up, and be able to feed these people in our community. Thank you. So much, Mr. Cole. That's it.
Okay. That was Alcorn University. I really enjoyed that presentation. I'm going to, again, I'm going to cross-reference back and I want to make this statement with Alcorn. Are you all using drone technology in any manner with your demonstration farm and dealing with horticultural crops?
You got to turn the microphone. Very minimal. I have just came from a small farmers conference, and we had it in Tupelo, Mississippi. And our drone personnel at Alcorn State University is coming up and doing some drone work, doing some drone whatever you call
Demonstration.
drone technology for our farm and things like that. So he is coming up in the next 2 weeks. I have talked to our extension administrator, and he is getting them up to our facility, and we're gonna start that so we can introduce that to our youth in the area.
Okay, don't go anywhere yet. I have one other question in that regards, and I'm gonna put this back to Alcorn, also back to Mount Bio, NRCS, and of course, Farm Service Agency. I want to come back. We say one USDA, one, and partnership and public engagement, being the other, as relates to connecting the one USDA. I don't think we talked very much regarding the micro urban loan. We did give reference to the farm financing portion of it with FSA and the very program service delivery. CCAF was another one we talked about, and of course, limited resource farmers and how that whole works in program service area. But based on what Alcorn has just given reference to, the micro urban loan is a major resource to Farm Service Agency as relates to individuals who may want to become beginning micro urban farmers, be it 1 acre, 2 acre type of farming operation. Doesn't have to be a 1,000-acre operation. The micro loan operation up to $50,000 as far as operating expenses is concerned, and starting those farming operations up. And Ms. Weatherall can correct me, FSA representative can correct me if I'm wrong, that $50,000 operating loan, and you can also do up to $50,000, I think it's with the capital loan under the micro loan. So if you're trying to buy, say, an acre, 2 acre, 3 acres of land to do a micro urban farm, you can get up to $50,000 in financing on that.
Yes, this is David Durham. I'm the farm loan manager, and
All right.
I cover the Tallahatchie County Service Center and the Panola County Service Center. Yes, you are correct. The micro loan has a $50,000 limit, that's $50,000 for the operating purposes,
Right.
which could be anything from 1 year up to 7 years.
Right.
Your 1 year use would be, like fuel, fertilizer, labor, seeds, things such as that. And your 7 year or up to 7 year, which would be equipment purchase or livestock purchase. Then the FO micro has a $50,000 limit also.
Right.
And that would be, for land purchase. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And right now the interest rate is 1.75 starting tomorrow.
That's a good interest rate. I want
Yes,
to
sir, it is.
ask another question, Mr. Finley. I'm going to come back over to you as well. In a situation, and say this is and this is also back with Alcorn University. If you're going to have a sign up and say you are approved, but it takes some time, I think you can get a $50,000, roughly 50% advance payment if you have a conservation program contract you approve for. Am I right, Mr. Finley? Say it's EQIP, and they deal with irrigation, putting a well in, and things of that nature. And
that is correct. That is correct. It's only our historically underserved farmers can get, we call it an advance payment for that conservation practice up to 50% of the cost of that practice. I would really encourage you to be aware that, even though we advance those dollars up front, we still require that practice to be completed prior to that other 50% being provided to the farmer. So sometimes we have individuals receive that 50% advancement, and unforeseen things happens in farming. And if they don't carry out that practice, sometimes they all the time have to repay that money. But so that's the downside. But yes, we do have that opportunity. We have a lot of our farmers take advantage of it. It's a good way to go buy your material and get your practice on the ground.
Right, I understand that, Mr. Finley, but I'm gonna go back over to Farm Service Agency here for a minute. And we do know that with those contracts, you must fulfill the contractual requirements, be it on an advance offer, you're dealing with a before you can get a reimbursement. But now, Mr. Finley, I think we should mention in all fairness here now, when you're dealing with those contracts and you do have certain challenges, you can come back and do a contract modification. Am I right?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Yes, sir. You're exactly right. We can come back to modification if we see that there's an issue. For example, like a lot of time by high tunnels, the storm may come complete the practice and we need to put it back in place. That's where we would come in and do a modification and reestablish that practice. So you're exactly correct.
Okay. I want to go back to FSA. On Farm Service Agency, it gave reference to the different type of operating loans itself. Our child for 7 years of dealing with a child investment with livestock equipment, 7 years on that. FSA, in a situation where you have program revenue projection as income, and you're dealing with both certain operational practices or improvements that's being put in on that farm under conservation program services. Now you can put that in as part of an activity in a loan with the micro loan. Am I right? So say the total contract is say $25,000 to deal with all the improvements. That's going to be irrigation, maybe certain other improvements as far as the land is concerned, maybe a little land leveling, things like that, and other practices that may be employed under the conservation program. Could you not put in for or have then apply for a conservation loan and use that contract as the part of the security on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
in other words, you can do that's one of the uses that you can do. You can do soil and water conservation, which would be pads, terraces, grass filter strips, irrigation, right, such as that. Now, if you're going to use the money from NRCS on the program, if you're not going through us, some of those, if I'm not mistaken, and Mr. Finley or somebody from NRCS may can clarify this, but if it's my understanding under EQIP, that money is basically a reimbursement. You have, you implement it, you pay for it, and then they reimburse you, which, if you don't have the funds, then we could make you a loan to
exactly
implement it, and then we would take a lien on the EQIP payment.
Exactly. And Mr. Finley, again, and we say this because when we're dealing with both with the micro-urban farmer, any type of beginning farming operation, now this is very crucial in dealing with the business plan, developing that business plan and operating plan for those farmers. And again, one USDA, you're crossing back over, you're accessing those farms, you're able to get all the practices out of the way by way of a loan. And then once all those practices have been approved by by NRCS, then of course, the reimbursement for that expense comes back to the farmer, and you pay at least 90% of that loan off, that conservation loan off with Farm Service Agency, leaving still roughly another 7 years to pay off the added 10% that may be a carryover on cost on the part of the farming operation. And it gives you a much stronger farm business plan. So I just wanted to give reference to that as an example. And, when you look at the USDA resources, FSA, NRCS, it's really important that if you're a beginning farmer or existing farmer, and also Alcorn University particularly, as we work and do more partnerships in working with the farmers in the area, that we look at planning and working with them from this perspective, maximizing the use of the resources and how we do business with them. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Alcorn University, I'm going to leave you this one statement. Albert Jones has a responsibility, and what we do now, we will want to come back, and what we will have in our partnership initiative that will be with Alcorn University, NRCS, Farm Service Agency representative we would like to have, as well as the D&J nonprofit organization and other partners that be over there. We'd like to do a follow-up meeting from that perspective for planning purposes wise, as well as to look at hopefully how we can put together, and it is, that is the name of it, ATM, you guys. We're not talking about the ATM machine, but we are dealing with the process by which it will be like ATM. It will be like the ATM. It will be a combination of both Arkansas, Tennessee, and Mississippi, and this regional food distribution and food supply network, and working with the underserved segments of the population and the market opportunities that exist, both within Tennessee as well as Mississippi and Arkansas. I know Alcorn said they're doing business in Arkansas and Tennessee now. We just want to broaden those market opportunities, some of the economic development initiatives that are taking place right now. And broadening partnerships and building partnerships, we think is definitely one of the more proactive and productive ways that we can do that. Gentlemen, you all stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We're going to go to the next one we have on the agenda. This is with the Mississippi Department of Agriculture, Ms. Susan Lawrence. And of course, Susan Lawrence, we will anticipate on you being a part of that group as we come back with a smaller group meeting to talk about developing this initiative from a multi-state partnership perspective. Ms. Lawrence, it's on you now.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. King. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you all. I apologize I'm not there in person. It was the original plan, and then we are busy getting ready for the Mississippi State Fair, so I had to come to Jackson instead. And it sounds like y'all had bad weather up there. It's nice and blue skies here in Jackson. So if it's okay, I'm going to share my screen. I've got a presentation just to kind of talk about some of the programs that we have at our agency. I can get this to work. Okay. All right. Can y'all see my presentation? Okay, there we go. Again, we appreciate the opportunity. I'm with the Market Development Division of the Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce. And I'm just going to talk through some of our programs that we have to offer. And a lot of them are marketing opportunities that do assist farmers in reaching new avenues to sell their products. I'm first going to talk about the Specialty Crop Block Grant Program. This program is through USDA, and it is administered through the state departments of agriculture in all the U.S. territories across the U.S. And while this program is specialty crop focused, it cannot unfortunately go to individual farms or farming operations to say start a specialty crop operation. This program is designed to enhance the specialty crop industry of Mississippi as a whole. So what that means is a lot of these projects are research-based that go through our universities that may research new potential specialty crops for Mississippi, production practices, cultivars, a variety of different research practices in order to help our specialty crop growers in the state. Also promotion and marketing, as well as education and training and technical assistance. We have funded projects in the past that are through university or through associations that may do grower field days, things of that nature that, like I said, do pass on that information to specialty crop growers in the state. If anybody has any certain priorities that they are seeing needed in their area, please feel free to reach out to me. We do take those into consideration and publish that when our next applications, our requests for applications are out, which will be early next year. And I will say also real quickly, I do send out an events email once or twice a month, depending on what's going on, that does talk about any programs that we're aware of, grants that are out there, any field days, workshops, trainings, anything from USDA that can be passed on to the growers. So if you are interested in getting on that email list, please shoot me an email and I will get you added to that as well. These next two programs are cost share programs. These do go directly to individual farms. The Farm Service Agency also has this organic cost share program That's for any farm that does receive the organic certification. You can get 50% of those costs reimbursed up to $500. Again, that's on a first come, first serve basis. And you either, you can come, we have all this information on our website and the application. You either will do that through your local farm service agency office, or we also take those applications, but you can't get 50% from us and 50% from farm service agency. GAP cost share program. This program, again, it will reimburse you 75% up to $750 of the certification costs to become good ag practices, good handling practices certified. And this may be required from certain buyers to purchase your produce. Say schools or restaurants or grocery stores may require you to have this certification. And this is basically a food safety certification as well, making sure you're keeping good notes and good records of your produce in case there was ever, an outbreak or anything like that. It's just a good kind of record keeping and food safety practice. And we do have people in our agency that do these audits. So again, if you have any questions on any of these programs, please feel free to reach out to me. We will be opening another Growing Lunch School Garden Grant program. If any of you have children in school, or if you are a school teacher and are interested in having a school garden on the school grounds, it's first come, first serve, up to $500. We'll have to submit that application out as well when that opportunity becomes available. We've been doing this program since 2013, and we've really seen some success in educating the younger school children about fruits and vegetables that can be grown. And we've heard many people comment that, a lot of these school-age children wouldn't touch greens or peas or, tomatoes, but once they've been invested in the entire process, they find themselves eating the produce, the fruits of their labor from these garden grants. So it's a neat little program I just wanted to mention. I'm going to quickly run through some of our other programs. Farm to School, we work with the Department of Education, the State Department of Education, to help identify farmers that are able to supply fresh fruits and vegetables to schools across the state. So again, we're always looking for new products to offer through that statewide purchasing program. However, if you're on a smaller scale, many farmers do work directly one-on-one with their local school system. It's kind of just if they're interested and willing to work with you, that may be another opportunity for you to grow and sell produce directly to your local school system. Mississippi Agritourism, we do have a registration program. If anybody invites the general public onto their farm, we do recommend that you sign up or register with our agency. It's a limited liability program that does give you added protection as long as you make, best as possible to eliminate any hazards. But we know that you can't fill in every hole in the farm, or if there's a random bee that stings somebody or anything like that. We do market this program as well. We have them all listed on our website, and we promote Agritourism Month. It actually starts tomorrow. So there's a big push for our agritourism operations in the state. And these are the warning signs. When you do sign up with the program, you'll get all this information, but you would post this at the entrance of your farm just to let the public know. The Farmers Market Certification Program is another marketing tool. If you sell or operate a local farmers market, you can become what we call a certified market, which just designates you as a true farmers market and not a resale or wholesale market, that you are really Mississippi farmer grown Mississippi produce to the local customers. Farmers Market Nutrition Program. This is a program that is operated through local farmers markets as well that allows farmers to take WIC vouchers, and also there's a senior farmers market nutrition program as well. If you're interested in that, yeah, we would encourage you to get with your local farmers market manager if y'all do not have this program, and then also Purvey Green at our agency is over this program as well. We do operate a state-run farmers market, the Mississippi Farmers Market, that's located here in Jackson on the state fairgrounds. It's open every Saturday. We're always looking for more farmers as well. If you are in this area, please let us know. The Mississippi Farm Marketplace, this is an online marketplace that was created during the COVID-19 pandemic when many farmers lost a lot of their market share, whether if they were selling to restaurants that had closed down because of COVID, things like that. So it looks very similar to our Mississippi Market Bulletin. It's kind of a classified ad looking website. It's free for farmers to put their any of their farm products for sale that would be direct to consumer, like eggs, dairy. If you are doing livestock for custom slaughter and sell shares of cows to the public, fruits and vegetables, honey, things like that. farmmarketplace.com is where you can go online, create an account, and you list what you have available, and then customers contact you directly. We don't facilitate any of the sales. International trade, if anybody is interested in any food or ag, getting their products to other markets, we do offer a couple of programs. If you do currently sell products to other markets and they require a certificate of free sale, just so you know, we do offer those for free if it's a food or ag product. Many other states charge for this, but it's something that, as long as it's food or ag related, we can provide that to you at no cost. The Southern U.S. Trade Association, that is actually based out of New Orleans, and they work with the state departments of agriculture in the Southeast through different activities to help market your products overseas. Of course, in a normal year, we'd be doing trade shows all over the world, but everything's gone virtual. So it's also given a new opportunity to many people that are interested in international trade, but may not quite be willing to get on the plane. You can meet with buyers virtually in your home office with buyers overseas across the world. So again, just another program I wanted to mention. Genuine Mississippi is our state branding program that promotes products grown, raised, made, and crafted in the state. This was launched in 2018, and it's been our big push to really promote to customers all the great things that we have to offer, and all the creative crafters and products that are made in Mississippi, because we want to be supporting our local businesses. So grown is basically what it's pretty self-explanatory. Those would be any sort of produce, grains, grasses, horticulture, nuts, timber. Raised would be your livestock or meat products, eggs, honey. Crafted are your food and beverages. So this is a large part of our program, and we do actually just this past April, we have a permanent store inside our farmers market here in Jackson where we sell genuine Mississippi products. A lot of those are a lot of our value added products. And we are, if anybody's coming to the state fair, please stop by. We do have a pop-up store at the state fair that you'll find a lot of these products, a lot of genuine Mississippi products in that store. Our genuine Mississippi made category is your manufactured products. And then we also offer an associate membership for anybody that is wanting to support the market or support the program, but may not have a physical product. They may be a restaurant that sells Mississippi, that uses Mississippi ingredients, farmers markets, agritourism, retailers, any sort of storefront that does sell genuine Mississippi products. They can also be a member, as well as associations. When you do become a member, you get to use a logo on your products, and you get a profile on our website, genuinems.com. This profile allows you to link all of your social media, website, tells you a little bit about your farm, what makes you genuine Mississippi, products that are offered, photos. And then one of the neat things that we wanted to highlight with this program is not only we wanted to make consumers aware about all the products that are available, but want them to go buy it. So each profile can put up to 10 locations where people can actually go buy your products. So that's another little tool. Real quickly, we do have commodity price reports, livestock, grain, and catfish. If you're ever, those are on our website if you ever need prices for anything. I briefly mentioned the Mississippi Market Bulletin. This is a great publication put out twice a month. Anything you need to buy, whether it's land, equipment, you can find it in this publication. Is put out twice a month, and have over 33,000 subscribers to that. Briefly, when I mentioned the good ag practices, good handling practices audit or certification, we did do a video that helps kind of tell a little bit about this food safety audit. That is on our YouTube page. Our YouTube page is Mississippi Department of Agriculture and Commerce. So if you want a little bit more information about that, check out that video. And with that, I will stop sharing, and I will take questions at the end, or if you want to do them now.
Thank you very much. Mississippi State Department of Agriculture, Ms. Susan Lawrence. I want to go back, Susan, if you would stay on with us here. I want to go back to USDA rural development, all the others, and we're going to come back around to the question and answer period. And I know a few questions and statements I'd like to make too in reference to the agencies, and hopefully how we can move this thing forward in a much broader fashion. Mr. Gregory Dale, are you still there? USDA rural development.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Mr. Dale.
I'm going to drop a couple. Sir.
Yes, sir. It's on you now. Rural development.
Okay. I'm going to drop a couple links in the chat. So there's some. Like I said, that's a list of our programs, and I also want to drop some contact phone numbers. I'm assuming this mostly going to be Mississippi. However, like I said, this has potential to have other states, Tennessee, Arkansas in it. So what I dropped in the chat, and I'm going to share my screen as well, is a program matrix for all our programs. We have over 40 programs. Can't and will not talk about all 40. But we'll try to talk about just maybe a few of those. Bear with me, I'm trying to, let's assume this is the screen I need to share right here. Show all windows. There I am, right here. All right. So I'm gonna go through this fairly quickly. As Dr. King stated, with USDA Rural Development, my name is Gregory Dale. I am with the national office. However, I'm born and raised in Arkansas, grew up in a small town in East Arkansas, about an hour from Greenville, Mississippi. Went to school, University of Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and currently in Central Arkansas. But like I said, again, I am with the National Office Innovation Center. Anytime I talk about USDA rural development, I always want people to understand, obviously we have a lot of programs, but all those programs can be grouped into our 3 sub-agencies. And if you don't remember anything else, just know we got programs for rural businesses, rural housing, and rural utilities. So again, you know, with rural businesses, you know, like I said, we got a couple programs for ag producers, rural housing. Like I said, of course, that's going to be housing. Our rural utilities is going to be broadband. It's going to be water, wastewater, you know, and also got, you know, some energy programs. So just keep that in mind. Like I said, again, like I said, a lot of programs, but when you think about your communities, you know, obviously business is going to be very important. Housing going to be very important. And of course, those utilities, those water, wastewater lines, broadband, telecommunications, what have you. So if you don't remember nothing else, remember that. And if you got any of these needs in your community, you should be giving us a phone call so we can connect you to the resources that help you with those particular items. And I'm with the Innovation Center. I'm not going to spend much time here. However, like I said, I'm in the Strategic Engagement Division. And what we do is help support the programs and try to help make a bigger impact with our programs, connecting those resources to eligible rural areas that perhaps had utilized our program. So that's, you know, reason I'm here today. Hopefully we can connect the dots on some programs that you may not have been aware of, or know where to go. So hopefully we can take care of that. And this is generally how we set up. Like I said, I'm guessing that most of people listening in now know that there's a state office in Mississippi. So that an area office for USDA Rural Development spread out across the state. I think the state office in Mississippi is in Jackson. So going into the rural development programs, we'll start with Rural Business Cooperative Service. And our business programs, this is going to be for all our businesses, a guaranteed loan program, one of our most popular programs within our rural business. Like I said, in any of your needs there, of course, the thing with this, with it being a guarantee, you're going to have to give it a lender that wants to fund your project. So it'll be up to you to find that bank that's willing to work with you. But once if you're a rural business and you have that bank that's want to work with you, like I said, we definitely got a guarantee where you can consider. Of course, one of the programs I want to mention on our energy program is our REAP. And this is one of the ones that ag producers can use. This is our Rural Energy for America program. Let me see if it's going to talk about that. So if you are an ag producer or a small rural business, like I said, and you're doing any type of energy efficiency upgrades, refrigeration, lighting, ductwork, windows, this is the program for you. In solar panels, I've actually worked with ag producer one that was changing out some motors for some more efficient motors. Or if you have refrigeration and you trying to upgrade your refrigeration, all this is tied to energy efficiency. So think about that. You got this program that can help you offset your cost on these energy upgrades. And that in itself is going to save you money once you get this more efficient equipment. And there's a program here, REAP, that also help you offset the cost. So that's money in your pocket. So this is definitely a program you should consider. One of the things I learned years ago, anytime I'm talking about these programs, people are thinking about, I guess, these big entities using this, but think about your small rural mom and pop shop that has an old refrigerator that's 20, 30 years old, or them lights that's been there forever. And they go in like, you know what, we're going to upgrade our refrigeration, we're going to upgrade our lighting, our windows. Guess what? Like I said, that small rural business can consider using this program to offset their costs, along with the ag producers as well. So this is a good program. Like I said, definitely should be taking advantage of it. Like I said, if you hadn't made any energy upgrades in a while, this is the program for you. Really should consider it. And cooperative program, anyone interested in setting up co-ops and things like that, we have a great cooperative specialist, Margaret Bow, that's with USDA Rural Development, and she's very passionate about cooperatives. So anybody, I'm that not aware of that, like I said, I've talked to a few communities that like wanted a grocery store. And obviously, we like those the Piggly Wigglies and all the different types of grocery stores that come into our neighborhood. But what if that can't happen? You know, the community can come together and set up a cooperative where they can provide, through that cooperative, provide that service to the citizens, or, you know, I'm saying groceries, but it could be anything. So I've seen medical clinics being set up through a cooperative model. So it's a lot you could do with this. It's a lot to consider. So there's certain needs in your community that's not necessarily being satisfied from the outside. Setting up a cooperative might be the way to go. We have those resources for you. So rural housing service. So we have housing program. That's a real big issue nowadays regard to housing. So again, the phone numbers that I gave you for your state, like I said, call it housing program staff, and they can connect it to the direct program, direct housing loan program that I'm showing you now, no down payment, 100% affordable fixed rate financing. Like I said, low interest rate. Like I said, definitely if you qualify for that program, it's the way to go. And our multifamily housing, we don't have any direct money for this program anymore, but you may see some of our facilities that currently being rehabbed. And I think we also still have our guaranteed loan program for multifamily housing. So that's available. Our single family repair loan grant. This is for people that are 62 years and older and very low income. And I found out, like I said, when they say very low income, they mean very low income. I tried to connect with a few folks, and they didn't meet the income requirement. So you can call your local rural development office, and they can let you know what that is at the county you're living in. But nonetheless, it's a good program. Repair loans and grants. If you get your house rehab and fixed up, like I said, it is a loan and grant. I forgot the grant maximum. It used to be $7,500, but I think it has went up. So again, that housing staff in your state will be able to give you those updated numbers. Community facilities program. We can do a whole lot with this particular program. Hospitals, health clinics, schools. I think I'll probably serve you better in regard to time to tell you what it can't do. And it can't do parks, like city parks and things like that, but anything else that's for the benefit for the entire community, this program can do it. Fire, police. And I want to go back to that park situation, because you're thinking about that playground equipment that's typically at parks. If you got that same equipment and put it at a school, guess what? It's eligible now because it's tied to education. So I think it's really important to talk to someone with rural development if you have a project and say, well, I don't think that applies. You'll be surprised. Maybe some workarounds. And so have a conversation with that rural development employee or myself, and we'll see can we connect the dots on what you do. Now I'll put my number in the chat and I end the conversation here. Rural utility service. This is our utilities program. We do have an electric program, so that, like I said, that definitely a program to consider if you're having those type of issues in your community. Telecommunications, this is our broadband. Like I said, this is COVID has shown us, we even knew it before COVID, but definitely now with the type of meetings we have, and even currently, broadband is important. You got to have good broadband. We have those broadband programs. One of the big ones we have is our Reconnect program for the past 2 years. Funded up about $600 million. So the resources, and that's just one of our programs. We have other broadband programs, and some of the states are coming up with their broadband programs. So the time is now in regard to getting broadband for rural areas. Like I said, the funding's out there. We know the need is out there. So again, connect with those rural development offices so we can get those applications started and find out about the process. Water and environmental. Ashley used to work this program. We found it out in Arkansas, a lot of these old systems having water lines up to 100 years old. And like I said, so it's time to replace those lines. So we have a loan and grant program for water and waste. Like I said, if you make an application with rural development, I will tell you that it's considered a loan only first. But once they get your financials and see, how things are going financially and what the need is, they may see a need for grant for the project. But I always tell people, anytime you come to us for water and wastewater, be ready for an all loan project. But like I said, once they dig into the application and your financials and see that grant is needed, like I said, that'll be entertained at that time. And so this is the basic contact information that we have, the 1-800-670-6533. I'm going to put my direct number in the chat. Like I said, I'll go ahead and post that now. Again, my name is Gregory Dale. My cell is area code 202-568-9558. But immediately after I'm done here, I'm going to put that in the chat. So if you didn't get a chance to write that down, you can check the chat. I'll give it again. Area code 202-568-9558. There's one more program I wanted to actually mention, and I didn't see it on the list, is our value added producer grant for ag producers that are out there. If you're getting have a product and you doing a value add to it, I guess an easy example is you're growing tomatoes, you're getting that tomato and processing it to ketchup or the other product. That's a value add. So potentially you can offset your costs there through a grant, through the value added producer grant, to make that value add to that product. So that'll go be through your business section as well. So I'll just leave it there, and I'll quit sharing here. Stop share. And Dr. King, like I said, if there's any question, however you want to do it, I'm here.
Okay, Mr. Dale, we appreciate that. I'm
Mr.
hoping
Dale.
that a part of the follow-up after this particular meeting, that we can again come back with what we're calling a partnership planning piece that will involve and that you would encourage to have at least one of the local RD people to participate in that meeting, along with Nrcs, the nonprofit, D&J nonprofit, Alcorn State University, of course, Arkansas Land and Community Development Corporation. I see we also have Miss Dixon on. I just want to mention this. Miss Dixon is with NASS, the National, make sure, USDA Statistical Service, Ag Census, put it like this. Let me just put that. She's on also. I just wanted to recognize that with USDA being counted is definitely a very, very important when it comes down to making determinations of the amount of resources we get in our local area. Mr. Jones, looked like you had. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Dale, could you please give your number again for the audience here and for the individuals here?
Absolutely. My phone number, area code 202-568-9558. Yeah. And thanks for that, Mr. Jones, because I know you got people there, they're not online. So again, I'm going to give that number one more time, and I'm going to keep the phone number, area code 202-568-9558. And I'll go ahead and throw the email addresses as well. My name is Gregory Dale. It's going to be Gregory.Dale, D-A-L-E. Again, that's going to be Gregory.Dale@usda.gov. And for people that are online, I'm going to put all this information in the chat.
Mr. Dale, I have one other question for you. You mentioned you were from Eastern Arkansas, small town. Yeah, what was the name of that small town by chance?
Gould, Arkansas.
Okay, I know where you're talking about. It's part of our service area.
Absolutely.
People, we are. I'm going to try to keep this on schedule. With scheduled here. Do we have any questions from the audience? Those who are online. Now, I want to come back to a couple of points. I'm coming back to NRCS And you mentioned the conservation easement. Now, conservation easement is a very, very important program, Mr. Finley. This is on NRCS. I want to, we didn't really talk about it, but you also have your conservation easement agricultural production program. I may not have that title right. Basically meaning you put it into the program of conservation easement, but you must continue to farm the land. Am I right? This is NRCS, Mr. Finley.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As I mentioned earlier, I'm not that familiar with that wing of our agency, to be totally honest. In fairness, I'm not going to be able to say if you're right or wrong on that statement you made, Dr. King. But I will write it down and I'll try to find out an answer for you.
Okay, we're gonna be publishing.
Most of the evening programs, most of the ones that I'm familiar with, you don't continue to farm it, but that's what I'm saying. I need to find out.
Yeah, there is one conservation easement, agricultural conservation easement production, I think it is, where you continue to farm it, keeping it in an active farming operation with certain practices. And I was just going to ask about the incentive paid behind that particular program. And I know, of course, you mentioned the conservation stewardship program. All of those programs, both the conservation stewardship, of course, EQIP, it doesn't matter what size of the farm, micro-urban farm, that been one of your flagship programs. But conservation stewardship, you can also apply that program back to the micro or smaller farming operations. Am I correct?
That is correct. That is correct.
And under that, I'm thinking this is correct in Arkansas, and I may be wrong, is the minimum amount that you will be able to get is, what is it? Is it $1,500?
$1,500. That's correct.
Okay, $1,500 is the minimum amount. So even if you're on a micro or urban farming operation, be it a half an acre, a fourth of an acre, whichever, and you have a farm number, then applying for that particular program and signing up for it and carrying out certain production practices, be it crop rotation, whatever cover crop type active, winter cover for it, that the minimum payment, to be received off of that is $1,500. Now it could be more on any particular contract. And I just want to mention that as for the producers, if you're going into the micro farm area. I want to go back to Gregory again on the housing program. Gregory, you mentioned the housing program.
Dr. King, we got a question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. What's the question?
Okay, I apologize, Dr. King. It's not a question, it's really a statement. For any correspondence or documentation, we really have to make the extension Alcorn State University extension instead of Alcorn State University. Yeah, we've talked about that in the past.
Okay, so if there's any information or any question you have as a follow-up to this particular meeting, and if they'll listen to this recording after the fact, then any information, it should be Alcorn State University Extension Program.
Correct.
Not Alcorn State University. Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, we can. Well, Alcorn State University Extension Program is the one that we'll be looking to be a part of this follow-up planning meeting.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Yes. Gregory, back to the housing program. You mentioned the home program, single family housing, and you gave reference to a dollar figure. If I'm correct, I'm thinking the same thing would be national. On the 1% renovation program, is that still $20,000 as the maximum part on the federal side for renovation, and $7,500 on the grant side?
That's correct. That's 20,000 loan, 7,500 grant. But it seems like a few years ago that there was a pilot program that Mississippi was involved in where they bumped them numbers up. That's why I was kind of didn't really want to go in there. But that's the standard as it is. Right? You are correct.
Well, that was another program, and we used to what we call layer those, where you had the $20,000 on the renovation program. You had the $20,000 1% interest rate loan for rehab, $7,500 on the grant program.
Mhm.
And then a nonprofit organization, sometimes community action agency, and we've done some also in the past, where they had a grant program application you apply for doing, they didn't call it, it's a rehab program also. And I can't even think of the name of it now, but
Are you talking about the self-help?
no, I know about the self-help as a single-family housing program that's also implemented by nonprofit organizations. They can do that. I don't know if any of them are doing it in Mississippi now, but I think it's a great program for housing development, along with the 502 and the 504, programs you have on the single-family housing. But anyway, I can't think of the name of it right now. I didn't know if such a program was being executed in Mississippi now. But you have to layer it back with the on the renovation with the $20,000 1% along with the $7,500 grant program to actually make them work. That's really again. I just want to, Albert, I'm going to turn it back over. Is there any other questions? If there are any other questions or comments from the audience, I want to express my appreciation for having this opportunity to be your facilitator. I hope all of you have received this information as something that's beneficial, and I know it's always a learning process for me, Mr. Finley. It's always a learning process. I don't care what you go through it, you go over it. It's something that you have to put all the pieces together. You have to put it together in layers. I'm going to say again, the Office of Partnership and Public Engagement. Again, and we say one USDA. It works with all USDA agencies along. Am I right, Mr. Dale? Am I right about that?
Absolutely right. Yep.
Okay, prosperity. Okay, Office of Partnership and Public Engagement. So that's a 2501 program. But the office works with all USDA agencies, Nrcs, Farm Service Agency, Ag Marketing Services. And I'm going to come back to the state agency again, Farm Service Agency as well. And again, as one USDA, we try to connect all the resources and plan accordingly for community economic development. That's why we want to follow up after this on expansion of the partnerships and how we can do a better job at addressing the needs of the underserved and the unserved segments of our population, and to address the issue around equity and equality for everyone. On Susan with the State Department of Agriculture. Now, is there not it's either an RFP that's out now from Ag Marketing Services? I know y'all's block grant money comes through Ag Marketing Services. Some of it does, at least, through Ag Marketing Service for the certification of those other areas. Is there not? I know we're promoting now, connecting the dots on local food supply and partnering back with working with both FSA nationally and Ag Marketing Services as a joint initiative between those two departmental areas as well. What is that specific area right now, and dealing with regional, where you can do I think it's a regional type of proposal that has to be put together. So a multi-state initiative like ATM. Mr. Finn, I'm gonna keep mentioning ATM now, because this is where we got to make it like a real type of initiative that produce and generate revenue out there and show some returns back to the people. We got to put something in it to get something out of it. Are you familiar with that, Ms. Lawrence?
Yes, sir. The specialty crop multi-state program, it follows along the same lines as the regular specialty crop, except it's a multi-state focus. And that application, it is competitive nationwide. It's not competitive on, like, we don't get Mississippi doesn't get a pot of money, Tennessee and Arkansas and everything. So it's, all the applications submitted nationwide are competitive upon each other.
Right.
Those USDA has a list of states that they consider participating states, which just means that's who you would submit an application to. But just because Mississippi isn't a participating state doesn't mean you can't submit an application that is for Mississippi.
Well,
It's kind of confusing, but it's open to anybody, and if you're a participating state and say a grant was submitted through us that does get funded, then we administer that. And it could be taking place in California or Mississippi or Tennessee or wherever.
No, basically what I'm saying is that, so if you were gonna do a regional initiative, then it would be in the interest of Mississippi, Tennessee, and Arkansas, and having as a part of that ag marketing services, which would put us in a multi-state, it will be a multi-state regional type of initiative. And that's where I'm going with this.
Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, so that's why I'm dealing with the follow-up. Mr. Finley, Nrcs also made the resource and FSA with us and how all of this fits together, because it is dealing with local food supply being a part of that on the multi-state side. And it will be multi-state if these are regional based on the county makeup and how the layout is what we have right now. FSA is partnering with that, with ag marketing services also. So I'm hopeful that we will be able to come together with an initiative and can put together a plan that engages and involves all the USDA agencies, Alcorn University, based on what they're doing, some initiative and partners we have in Tennessee, along with Arkansas, that we can at least take a look at this. But we would need the State Department of Agriculture with both Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee as well. So I just want to mention that so the public is aware of that, and we'll be looking for y'all's participation with this local planning process.
Dr. King, this is Doris Miller with the Alcorn State University Extension Program again. We failed to mention earlier when we were talking about it that our program, we also have a $25,000 small farm loan program, $50,000 for cooperatives. And the point of contact for that is Velma Oliver, and I can share her number. She always encourages us to do this type of outreach for her. Her name is Velma Oliver. Her number is 601-877-6570. 601-877-6570. It's $25,000 for small farm and $50,000 for cooperative. And it's
I want to make sure that I'm clear on this, and hopefully the audience and the network of other groups and organizations are getting this information correct as well, and particular Farm Service Agency and Nrcs, so we can network it and it gets to our producer. And that is a $25,000. Did you say grant program or loan program?
Loan program. Loan.
Okay. Okay. It's a $25,000 loan and a $50,000 loan program.
Yes, $50,000 for cooperatives and $25,000 for small farms.
Gotcha. Okay. Make sure it's the audience, that's a $50,000 cooperative loan program that they have, and the contact information, phone number is area code 601-877-6570. $50,000 for the cooperative loan, $25,000 loan program that they are operating now. And is that with the nonprofit D&J nonprofit, or is that through the Alcorn University?
No, sir, it's through the extension program, Alcorn State University Extension Program.
Okay, and that's through the Alcorn University Extension Program.
Yes.
People, there are a lot of resources being offered by all the partners that are here. One USDA, Farm Service Agency, Nrcs, Farm USDA Rural Development, and the State Department of Agriculture. It's really going to be imperative that we do the follow-up meeting, Mr. Finley, and the others in the nonprofit groups, and to see if we can come up with this initiative and how all these dots fit together within the context of a regional initiative that benefits hopefully and supports local food supply on this regional basis. I definitely want to give it a shot, Ms. Lawrence, to see if we can do it with the State Department of Agriculture, with Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. If we can do that with the state departments and with the USDA partners, I think it can happen. Mr. Jones, that's all I have. I'm going to turn it back over to you now. If there are no other questions or comments from the audience or from those who are online. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. King. I would just like to thank my colleague over here who's been keeping this all together, Mr. Michael Tufta, who's a farm advisor with Arkansas Land and Community Development, among other things, also our IT person. Also like to thank Mr. Miller as I'm strolling around the room. Mr. Miller is with Alcorn. He is the technical person who put the screen up and the facilities for it. Again, I'd like to thank all our virtual audience. Thank everyone for making this a success. See you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Excellent job.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
everybody.
I'm all for it.